Good afternoon. Thank you for coming on a warm afternoon after tests, after examinations. Yes, did you have tests today? And tomorrow? More tests tomorrow? Do they have more? Oh, so you're all done and you're here? Okay, that would never happen in the United States. You'd be gone, so thank you. It's an honor to be here with you. Very famous university. Where I come from in the United States, I've heard of Kyoto University. I am a cancer surgeon and trauma. So in the United States, trauma is car accidents, a lot of gunshots, knifing, many nice people. So I taught medical students and surgeons at Stanford University. My wife, a pediatric radiologist from Harvard. So we certainly have heard of Kyoto. So it was a long time ago when I looked this young and was a young student. I'm going to talk to you today about some of the things I've learned because I get to travel all over the world. So all over Asia now, Brazil, Europe next month, the Middle East, Africa the next month. Sometime I'll go home and see my children, who may have another father by then, I don't know. But healthcare is changing around the world completely. So the things you will be doing are very different than the things I did. And that's true certainly if you come and practice in the United States at all. But it's even happening right here. What you'll be doing if you practice in Japan in 5-6 years is very different than what your professors did. So my Japanese, as we would say in the United States, sucks. It's awful. It'd be embarrassing. If I'm not clear, you shouldn't be embarrassed. My good friend can absolutely help make me sound smart. So we will get started. Should we shut some front light? Wow.
Maybe I'll summarize in very seconds. ピーター医師は今世界中エルゼビアの最高医療責任者として世界中回ってまして、中東、ブラジル、今はアジア中心に回ってますけど、やっぱり医療がそう変革的に各国であって、そういうのを目の当たりにしてきまして、あと実際に教えたりもしてましたので、そういった経験を踏まえて今日は皆様とプレゼンテーションディスカッションができればいいなと思います。で皆さんぐらいのだった頃から相当、何十年も前なんですが、当然ね当時の状況とは全然変わってきますし、5年後日本は全然また違うような事情になってますので、そういったトレンドの話も今日はしたいと思います。
So, for most of the history of the world, anywhere you went and said, "What is medicine?" they would say it's the doctor and the beautiful patient. If you went to New York, what is medicine? The doctor, the patient. Beijing, doctor, patient. Abu Dhabi, right? Medicine was about a relationship, doctor and patient. That is changing very quickly. It will be different for you. There are many reasons, but I would like to talk about 3. The first is about medical information, knowledge. How much do we all know in the world about medicine, and how long does it take to double? I don't know if you need to. Okay. So, long before you were born, long ago in the dark ages, 1950, every 50 years, everything we all knew about medicine doubled. 50 years. By 1980, everything that all man knew about medicine doubled every 7 years. By 2010, every 3.5 years, less than medical school, everything known on the earth about medicine doubled. Right after you graduate, every 73 days, every 73 days, everything anyone knows about medicine in the whole world doubles. You're probably pretty smart students. You're at a good university. So every 73 days you need to read everything written all over the world in medicine. Is that okay? That's crazy, yes? How could you possibly know all that? That's the first reason medicine is changing. Yes.
で医療というのは多くの国で、現在のそうなんですが、やっぱり医師と患者の関係ということがあります。東京でもそう、日本でもそうですし、例えば中国でもそうです。で、ただそれが今後大きく変わっていくという話をします。で、それ3つ理由があるんですけども、この1つ目がやっぱりその医学の情報というのがものすごく加速度的に増えているということですね。その医学の全情報が倍増する時間というのを見てみると、1950年で時点ですと50年かかっていたのが、それが80年では 7年になり、2010年では 3.5 年になり、3.5年というとその学歴の期間に短いわけですよね。それが2020年ではもう73日になるというふうに言われています。
The second reason is about money. Everything is about money, right? In the United States, 16% of GDP, you've heard this, GDP, out of every $100 we spend on anything in the United States, $16 is on health care. Way too much. If we spend that much, we can't build bridges, cannot build new schools, cannot feed people. Way too much. Japan, GDP is flat. For many years, no growth, but healthcare spending is not. At some point, you can't pay for healthcare. That's the second reason.
2つ目の理由は医療費の増大ですね。米国の例にとった場合に、やっぱり GDP を100ドルとすると、その16ドルが医療に使われてまして、それはこのグラフにあるように加速度的に伸びています。これは持続可能じゃないわけですね。
Then the third reason is about health, about disease itself. A lot of diseases are now not Japanese or American or Indian, they're global. Just pick one. You've learned about type 2 diabetes? Diabetes, right? Diabetes type 2 is because we eat too much. It's from eating, obesity. There didn't used to be any type 2 diabetes in the world. Now, more than 8% of the entire world has diabetes. 8%. Problems with your heart, risk of stroke, kidney failure, amputations, terrible disease. 328 million people around the world. Not just Japan, not just Mexico, everywhere. More than 5 million people die every year. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, global health problems, not just one patient. Does that make sense? Right?
この 3つ目のトレンドが病気というのがグローバルになってきているということですね。その国独特の地域独特のものじゃないということでして、その多分典型例がこの2型の糖尿病で、この数字はここにある通りですけれども、グローバルになってきています。
So these big changes mean that when I practiced, all that mattered was me and my patients. When you practice, what matters is called population health. Have you ever heard the term population health? Because they're talking about it in the health ministry of Japan right now. And in Singapore, India, Australia, Indonesia, the United States, Mexico, Canada, Europe, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. Name the country, all of the governments and all of the top doctors aren't talking about one patient. They're talking about populations. Now, population can just be the patients at your hospital, right? Small population. It can be the patients in Kyoto with diabetes. It can be all patients in Japan with heart failure. It can be all patients in Asia with dengue fever. It can be all patients in the world with BRCA1 breast cancer. Many different sizes, but larger groups than one patient.
それ多分皆さんが今後考えていかなきゃいけないのが医者と患者との1対1の関係ではなくてもっと大きな人口というかグループを見ていくことですね。で先ほど例えば東南アジアにおけるデング熱みたいな例もありましたけども地域とか国全部のをどうする改善していくかということを考えなければなりません。それは日本ですと厚労省とか各国の政府がまさに今話している考えていることですね。
There are two parts to population health, which you will eventually have to understand, even here in Japan, but absolutely if you're coming to my country to study or work. The first goal is to improve the health of large groups of people, not just one patient at a time. The second goal is to pay less money. Now, when I first heard that, I said, that is impossible. How can we have better quality care and pay less? Smart. That's one way. Because right now people go, well, but that doesn't work in anything else. If we had McDonald's yesterday, but last night we went to a very nice tempura place, that cost a lot more. When I was your age, I rode a bicycle. Now I have a nice car. That cost more. So that is indeed one answer, because most people say, well, if we want to make healthcare better, how can we pay less money, right? There are a few tricks. So let's say, to your point, you're exactly right, young lady. Let's say that this young man here, I'm sorry to tell you, has appendicitis. Show me. You got? No. See? This is what I told you. So in the United States, if I went to a student and say, show me you have appendicitis, here's what they do. Oh my God, oh. Very dramatic. They want to be in the movies. You're very calm. So he comes in because he has appendicitis. And I get blood tests. Okay? Slightly elevated white count. Right? Mild fever. Pain started here, moved down here. He's not hungry. I press, he has rebound. But I'm still not sure because I'm sort of stupid. So we get an ultrasound because it's the least expensive, most effective way. And what does the ultrasound show? Appendicitis in a man, 100%. But I get a CAT scan too, because that happens all over the world. So now I've done that. And by now his appendicitis has burst and tragically he has died. No, now I have that. And it's time to come to the operating room. But what my poor patient doesn't know is we were out till 2 in the morning drinking sake, which I like very much. And so when I go to the operating room, I make a couple of mistakes. Oops! Oh! And he should have had a 20-minute operation. Tomorrow, bye-bye. But it's a 3-hour operation. And because I've hurt him, he goes to the intensive care unit for 5 days. And on the 4th day, I have to operate again. This happens in your hospital every day and in mine. The sad thing is, for the CAT scan that he didn't need, for the intensive care unit that you shouldn't have needed, and for both operations, for the operation I did to fix the mistake I made, we get paid. Woohoo! You may wish to translate that.
That was pretty long. 盲腸で話をしましたけども、多分その盲腸の治療といっても多分そのいろんなステップがあるわけですよね。その診断の血液検査もあったし、キャットスキャンとかいろいろあります。で例えばその今の医療ですと例えば彼がお酒を前日に飲みすぎて例えば少しミスをしてしまったとでそのミスをしてしまったためにやっぱり4日間ICU にいなきゃいけなくて かつお金がかかるわけですよね。でそのミスに対するお金もその余計な検査というのも従来は全部病院側がその収益として得ることができました。ただその状況というのはすごく早く変わりつつあります。
So bad quality, yes? My poor friend got very sick, very expensive. Let's go back on the clock. He comes in. I didn't drink sake last night. I'm sad. He's happy. We had an ultrasound, but no CAT scan. I do a good job, which I would do. He goes home the next day. Better? Much less money. Right? But that is not how it's done around the world in most places. So, if we want to have better care of populations and pay less money, it's so clear we should do that, yes? Even from my example, right? We should do this. Why don't we? One English word. Variability. I don't know what the word is in Japanese.
これはこれ一言で言うとやっぱりこればらつきっていうことがあるんですね。
So,
これが妨害しています。
sorry. How many of you walked from your last building to here? Walked or took a bike? Right. Have you done that before today? Did you go a very different way last time? Why didn't you bike to Tokyo first and come here? Right? When you go home after this, are you going to go the same way you normally go? Most people go the same way. When I drive to work, I drive the same way. If you take the train to work, you don't say, which train today? Variability is not something we want, even in how you live every day. I did not get up this morning and choose between this and a wedding dress. I wear men's clothes, the same ones every day. The difference in medicine when you're the doctor is variability hurts people and it often kills people. So it may make you late to a meeting if you go a different way. If you do a bad job in surgery, it may kill someone. Everyone in this room will hurt more than one person in your career, I promise. Not on purpose. I'm a cancer and trauma surgeon. When I haven't done well, people died because of variability. And I'm a pretty nice guy. Variability. Too many different ways to do something in medicine. Worse quality care for our patient. Much more money. Does that make sense? Narrow variability. Better care for our patients. Less money. Now, surgeons like me, when you tell them we're going to reduce variability, we cry, "Oh, you can't. No, I'm an artist. Don't tell me what to do." There are still many choices for good doctors to make for every patient. But it's not good for a patient with a runny nose to have her leg amputated. Bad decisions over here hurt people.
このばらつきということですけども、ドクター・ピーターは外科医ですが、外科医ってやっぱり自分をアーティストとか、そういうふうに考えるんですから、すごく腕に自信があって、そうすると、やっぱり各手術違うアプローチを取ったりします。そうするとそのばらつきというのが、出てきます。やっぱりばらつきが皆さんも医師として今後活躍されるときにやっぱり必ずミスはするわけですね。ですけどその時に考えなきゃいけないのはこのばらつきというのをいかに最小化するかということです。
You, as doctors, will have to do this. Population health, less variability. Not this. If you don't, someone will tell you you don't get to practice. That's coming everywhere. Because we cannot hurt people and waste money. You have to be better doctors than we are. Let me give you an example of the danger and damage of variability. Pretend this is your mother admitted to the hospital. Those are her orders. How safe do you feel about that? What is that? How about this one? This is the drug Amaryl. How much is it? Is that 12? Is that right? Yes, it is 12, except it's not 12. It's 2 milligrams, and when 12 was given, the little girl died. She's dead. Because this says Amaryl2. But the pharmacist reading quickly read Amaryl 12. And the little girl's blood glucose went to the floor, and she died. This was not in a third world country. This is in my country and your country. I think if it's my daughter, this is better. Not only is it clear, I can click and see what I need to know. Right? Yes.
これは簡単なばらつきの例なんですけれども、これはこの左側になるのは手書きのこれオーダーセットといいますか、クリニカルパスの例ですね。インストラクションが書いてあるわけです。でこれアメリリっていうこの薬剤、これ手書きで書いてあって、これ 12mg に見えたんですが、これ実は 2mg であって、その1に見えるのはこれ L なわけですね。ただこれ実際に起きた事故で、これを幼い女の子に投与して、その血中グルコースがガッと落ちてですね、その子は亡くなってしまったという事故です。こういうことがあっては言いません。こういうことが起きてはならないわけです。
How about some examples from the United States? Don't be embarrassed, but if you know, tell me what is the number one killer of American adults. I'll give you a hint. Heart disease, right? What is the number 2 killer of American adults? Starts with a big C. Cancer. You know what the number 3 killer of Americans is? Me. 200,000 to 400,000 Americans die every year by mistakes in hospitals. 400,000. And I promise you that the doctors and nurses who care for them were just as caring as you, just as smart as you, just like you. These are mistakes. Trust me, they stay with you a long time when you kill someone. 200 to 400,000 deaths. Preventable. Wrong medication. Wrong blood type. Bad decision in the operating room for me. Wrong treatment in the emergency room. Right? By the way, every day, 10,000 Americans have a serious complication that they shouldn't have. Wrong medicine, kidney failure. Right? Not enough IV fluid, cardiac arrest. No one's watching, respiratory arrest. Bad quality, and it costs not $1,000, not $1 million, not $1 billion, $1 trillion every year. Now, the difference between the United States and most countries is we are admitting it.
でこれは米国の統計ですけども、米国の死因の第1位は心不全、2位が、がん、キャンサーですね。で、3つ目が驚くことに医師の、医師といいますかね、医療者によるミスによるものが第3位になってまして、大体推定で20万人から40万人がこれで毎年亡くなっています。で、毎日ですね、1万人 の患者がその何らかのミスといいますか、防げるはずのことで、不幸な事態に陥っているということが言えます。でこれは米国に毎年100兆円ぐらいのコストがかかっています。
The enemy is variability, right? Not always doing the best thing. And here's where we're learning the truth. How many of you have been on an airplane? Been on an airplane? Yeah? Okay. Would you get on the airplane if I told you that we let the pilot decide if he wants to check the gas? We let the pilot decide if he wants to check the air in the tires. We let the pilot decide if he should look for wings that are broken. That's crazy. The airline industry has checklists. Every pilot, even experienced pilots, do every single time before taking off. Every single time a plane lands, a new plane even, experienced engineer must use guidelines to check every single thing on the list, right? And because of that, it is more dangerous to drive to the airport than to fly from Kyoto to San Francisco. Flying is the safest transportation on the earth because variability has gone away every time. Does that make sense? And in medicine, if we do that, we'll save lives and money. In the United States, there's a very famous book, Why Hospitals Should Fly. It's a hospital with wings because we look to the airline industry to prove less variability saves lives. Does that make sense?
医療者にとって一番怖いばらつきということを防ぐために米国の医療業界が医療者が見たのが航空業界ですね。で皆さんご存知のように飛行機というのは世界中で最も安全な交通手段です。例えば米国を東から西まで行くときに車で行くのと飛行機で行くのとどっちが安全かっていうのはそれはもう人命なわけですね。で飛行機というのは熟練パイロットでもエンジニアでも勝手にやっていいわけじゃなくて非常に厳しいガイドラインというのが設定されています。ですので事故が少ないわけですね。それで航空業界に倣って米国の病院もこのように運営しようというのがあります。ですごくベストセラー的な本があってですね、それは右にある Why Hospital Should Fly という本がこれは病院向けのばらつきを減らすためのどうすべきかというのが具体的に書かれています。
And you can ask a question then for me. Do you know what the hardest part of making this whole presentation is? If you would ask them. See if anyone else.
このプレゼンを作るのに一番難しいことが何かと思いますか?
It's making sure I pick the right airline for the right country. Yeah, you don't go to China and show Japan Airlines. You don't go to Australia and show an American airline. So the last minute, oh, God, change the picture, quick. So this is our goal. But just like in the operating room, I have scalpel, suture, cautery. Remember, every 73 days, there's so much to learn, especially with genetics, right? How are you going to do that when you start taking care of patients? How will you have what you need? In most of the world, these tools are called clinical decision support, CDS. There are many, many types of tools that you will use all the time in your practice and that even we use now. They have three things in common. They're based on evidence, right? So the evidence tells me that when a young man comes in with low-grade fever, elevated white count, and the symptoms of appendicitis, and the ultrasound says appendicitis, the studies show that for a young man, doing a CAT scan also doesn't help at all, right? So it can help us. Evidence, Don't leave it to my experience. Just because I have practiced surgery for 25 years does not mean I know how it should be practiced today. It changes too fast. Every tool you use should be based on as much evidence as you can. It must be credible. The number one source for information for doctors in the world, do you know what it is? Wikipedia. Wikipedia. More doctors use Wikipedia than anything else. You know Wikipedia? Yeah. I can write whatever I want on Wikipedia. I'm sorry you have cancer. Eat a carrot. You're cured. A British study of Wikipedia showed that 90% of the medical entries were grossly wrong and dangerous. Not a little wrong, grossly, major error, dangerous. Thank God for the number 2 site. You know what that is? Google. Vote for Hillary Clinton and your kidney disease goes away. It's Google. You must, as doctors, use credible, truthful sites. Right? Finally, current. Textbooks are very good. But sometimes they're written years before you get them. Even an article on an antibiotic or genetics from 6 years ago may not be right anymore, right? Genetics changing like that. Whatever tools you use must be current. Question. In the last 12 months, raise your hand if you have spent 400 hours in front of a doctor. 200 hours in front of a doctor as a patient. No one goes to the doctor. There's a study of patients who have at least one chronic disease, patient with diabetes or heart failure. Do you know what the average amount of time a sick patient spends in front of a doctor in a year? 12 and a half hours. Medical care does not happen in front of you. When you're practicing, medical care doesn't happen in front of you. Statistically, patients spend no time with doctors. So healthcare has to happen at their home, their school, their office, when they travel. By the time you see them, they may be sick. So we have to have information on iPads and cell phones, at homes, your office, the hospital, where you work. And even more important is the information has to be the same. So here is my poor appendicitis patient, right? And I say, you have a surgery for the next 6 weeks, no lifting, or you tear your muscles, right? 5 days later, he sees a nurse. You had surgery. 3 more days, no lifting. 3 more days. He goes home, looks on Wikipedia. Today, play soccer. Variability in information is dangerous. I don't know if you wish to.
この先ほども出ますけど、ばらつきを減らすためにじゃあどうすべきかということで、これで多分皆さんにとってすごく重要になってくるのが、欧米で言われているクリニカルディシジョンサポートツールですね、臨床意思決定サポートツールと呼ばれているものです。それは例えば図書館さんが提供しているようなものなんですが、先ほどもピッチャー申し上げましたけど、世界中で一番使われているこういう CDS ツールっていうのは、これ良くないことですが、ウィキペディアなんですね。で、ウィキペディアっていうのはご存知のように誰でもエントリー記事を書くことができます。これが最も使われていると。で、2番目は Google ですね。その Google で答えを調べようとするお医者さんは世界中で非常に多いです。で、これらの当然ウィキペディアでも Google で問題なのは、今ここに挙げた重要な条件というのを満たしてないわけですね。それはエビデンスベースであり、かつそれは信頼できる内容で、それはしかも最新のものであるということですね。その3つの条件をその2つは満たしていませんので、そういったものに頼るのは非常に危険になってきます。
Some of you may be interested in coming to the United States at some time. Yes? To learn medicine, to practice medicine. Is that true? We have a lot of Japanese colleagues in the United States. It's wonderful. Good quality medicine in both countries. But now, if you wish to come to my country and practice medicine, you have to understand health care. You probably have heard of it as Obamacare. Yes? Oy. Obamacare. But if you do not understand some of the simple parts of Obamacare, you won't be able to come and practice in the United States, because that is health care now. Obamacare is the first time that we have passed laws to reduce variability in care, right? To say no more CAT scan for appendicitis, no more overdose Amaryl, no more bad surgery. First time. How did they do this? The old system, everything we did wrong for this nice man, we got paid for. The new system, no more. For the first time, money for doctors, money for hospitals, depends on how well the patient does and how little money I spend. If I spend too much money, I lose money. If I spend too little money and he does very badly, I lose more money. There's a connection between what the doctor does and if the doctor gets paid.
皆さんこれから米国に行かれる希望されている方もいらっしゃるかもしれませんが、これからお話しすることは多分ベースの理解として非常に重要になってきます。で皆さんもご存知のようにオバマケアというのが米国でありますけれども、これ初めて先ほどからお話ししているそのばらつきというものを取り上げて、それを実際に法律化、それを減らすために法律化した動きということになります。でこれは先ほどから何度も話をしている盲腸の例ですけれども、必要ないキャットスカンというのをしたり、それは超音波でできるから必要ないんですけども、そういう不必要なことをしたり、あるいは医療ミスをしたことによってそれによってかかる余計なお金というのは全部今度は病院側、あるいはお医者さん側にかかってきます。であるいは非常に低いコストでやってしまったんですけど、その患者がやっぱり回復しない場合も今度は病院側が払わなきゃいけないという、完全にそのシステムとしては変わってきています。
So, with all of that knowledge and all of the money tied to patient care, we have to use evidence-based CDS. If I don't do the right test or do too many tests, I lose money. Right? And that means we must focus on the patient, not just on me getting a nice new Mercedes. In fact, if I don't do a good job, we pay the government. We lose money. A penalty. So, he's so happy. What does this mean if you wish to come to the United States? You need to understand the idea that hospitals are trying to help populations, but waste no money. No extra tests, right? No bad care is the idea. That's called value-based care. There's a term, I don't know what the term would be.
I think it's the right translation. この実際に余計な検査をしないとか、そしてあるいはミスによって余計なコストをかけないというのはこういう考え方を米国の方ではバリューベースドケアというふうに呼んでます。でも先ほど申し上げたように本当に180度変わってきてるわけですね。今までは全部のトリートメントに対してそれに対する報酬が得られたんですが、今度はミスをすると逆に病院側が払うという仕組みに変わってきています。これはバリューベースドケア。
We don't know yet what the US MLE is going to ask you about value-based care, they will ask you soon. Because the entire care model with Obamacare is changed. And the USMLE has to decide what to ask you. Even if they ask you nothing, you have to understand it for a hospital, particularly a famous university, to say, come on over. Because you can't come over and just order everything you want anymore. Simple idea.
皆さんがその USMLE にチャレンジするようなことがあったときに、これはまだオバマケアの結果、それがどういうふうに反映されるかっていうのはまだ決まってませんけれども、確実にですね、そういうオバマケアの意味するところ、このバリューベースケアのことが聞かれます。で仮に聞かれなかったとしても、その病院に勤める場合ですね、やっぱりこういうことを知っておかないと、今はその、ね、お医者さんが自由にこう器具を買ったりできる時代ではなくなってきましたので、しっかりその、患者対医者っていう一対一の関係じゃなくて、その先ほどから申し上げたポピュレーションヘルスですね、そのグループとかあるまとまった人口のことを考えて、その全体を最適化するということを意識しなければならなくなってきています。
Now, what does this mean for the students and residents who are sitting in a room right now in the United States, just like you? What does this mean? Their training is now taking place thinking about population health and reducing costs. Right now they're learning to use evidence solutions so that they don't waste money and do things for large groups of people. Right now that's what they're learning. They depend on these tools every day. They're on their iPads from patient to patient to patient. Oh, pregnancy, tuberculosis. What's new? Cancer in a young man? Genetic testing. Everywhere. No wasted money. Better care. Yeah.
それで米国の学生とか、その研修医がやっぱり今考えていることというのは、そのトレーニングの研修の中に実際にそのバリューベースとケアというのを取り入れています。やっぱりそこで一番有力な武器となってくるのがクリニカルディシジョンサポート、この臨床意思決定サポートツールになっています。で本当に先ほどの最初にあったように、その医学情報というのはどんどん加速度的に増えているので、やっぱり iPad とかそのスマートフォンを使って本当に現場ですぐにその情報をリフレッシュしていかなきゃいけないという状況になっています。
Well, what about how education for students is changing around the world? Let's pretend you don't want to be a doctor. Well, maybe you really don't want to be a doctor now. Let's pretend you don't want to be a doctor. You want to be a pilot. You want to fly planes, okay? So today's your first day of pilot school, all right? Come with me. We will fly a Cessna today, okay? Tomorrow you come back. Tomorrow we fly an F-16 Tiger Shark. That's okay. Come back Sunday. We'll fly in a balloon. But Monday, oh yeah, a blimp. That is how we teach medicine, right? I'm a student or resident of surgery. Tonight, gallbladder surgery comes in the emergency room, an appendicitis, and a breast abscess. I may not do any of those again for months, because tomorrow, pancreatitis, right? Ischemic leg, liver fracture from a car accident. It's the slowest way to learn anything ever, right? If you want to learn English, you don't do English today, French tomorrow, Russian, Italian, back to English. But that's how medicine is, because we don't pick what patients. I cannot say I want to do 10 appendicitis tonight. So I know appendicitis, because I'm not good enough to give them appendicitis. If we train pilots that way, it would take 10 years to learn how to fly any of those.
例えば医師のトレーニング、研修というのを、例えば飛行機の、あるいはこういう飛行機の 訓練で例えると、本当に医師のトレーニングというのは毎日違うこういうタイプの機体と向き合うようなものですね。やっぱりそれは病気というのは患者を選べないということがあって、それは非常に学び方として非常に効率が悪いです。例えば飛行機ですと、こういう学び方をしたら多分10年経ってもろくにどれ一つ飛ばせないかもしれません。
The problem with this type of learning as a student? Too much variability. So we are trying to change that when we teach students and residents. So we use technology, simulation. I can do the same patient again and again, evaluate, practice operating. This sad little baby, makes me cry. It's a doll, right? But very advanced. All sorts of things hooked up, blood pressure, CO2, oxygen, all sorts of things, and I can program into the computer how it responds to your care. So the first 4 times, sadly, you kill the baby. Don't worry, it's a doll. But then you learn, we do it again and again and again. So if I teach you how to do appendicitis again and again and again, it's not as good as a real person, but it's better than doing appendicitis every 8 days, right? That's the future, and it's now. We're doing virtual reality. I like this because she looks like a zombie. But she's taking care of a trauma patient. He's doing brain surgery again and again and again. So when sometime a patient comes in for brain surgery, and the last time he did a real patient was 9 months ago, but he's been doing it every week. It's better, right? Less variability.
ばらつきを減らすためには、やっぱり繰り返しということが重要になってきます。で、当然本物の患者に対してその繰り返しはできないので、やっぱりこういうテクノロジーがあるわけですね。そのシミュレーターを使ったり、この左下の女性は実際にそういうYou say that was trauma?
Yeah, this is the U.S. military's Trauma Simulation Center.
米国の陸軍のトラウマシミュレーションのツールだそうです。そういったものですね。
So now we'll end with something fun, okay? Who invents all of the tools used in the operating room? Who invents all of the treatments in the outpatient clinic? Who invents all of the computer systems that help take care of patients? People like you, doctors, young, smart, not old and tired. So I was asked if I could talk about that because Stanford University is in Silicon Valley. I left Stanford and was the CEO, the head of invention companies. So over 10 years, I raised $125 million, built 2 companies, sold them, all making surgical tools. And when I was your age, I knew nothing about it either. But you can learn a few things so that if you ever have an idea, you can know what to do with it. Because at Stanford, the students come up with ideas, and some of them build huge companies from those ideas. Your age students, they do research in Silicon Valley, and they build companies.
最後になりましたが、ちょっと面白いトピックで終わりたいと思います。で、例えば手術室とかその外来とかで使ういろんな器具とかそういったものが、どこで誰が開発するんでしょうっていう最初質問しましたけど、そういったものっていうのはすごく若い医師からそういうアイデアが出て生まれています。で、ドクター・ピーターはスタンフォード大学で結構時間も過ごしてまして、シリコンバレーに近いわけですね。そこでいくつか会社を立ち上げて、でかつ資金としても125億円ぐらい上げましたので、そういったちょっとお話をしたいと思います。
So, what does it take for you, any of you? Just an idea, right? An idea, that's it. Think of a disease, a test, an x-ray, a procedure, something on the computer that you or patients do, anything, and say to yourself, is there a way that I can imagine, even crazy imagine, to make it safer, to make it faster, to make it cost less? That's a good idea. Now, most people say, well, I'm picturing this thing with wheels and buttons and all sorts. No one could build that. Yes, they can. In the United States, biomedical engineering is the #1 undergraduate engineering degree. I had dozens of bioengineers. They can make anything I dream of.
これ検査方法でも、手術でも何でもいいんですが、より早く安くより品質高くできるということがあったら、それは全てアイデアになります。で、そのアイデアの結果、ものすごいタイヤがついたりボタンがたくさんあったりするようなものすごいものを考えて、これはできないやって思わないでくださいっていうのは、米国特に例えばスタンフォードの主演にはそのバイオメディカルエンジニアがいて、これは今一番多分人数として多い領域になってきて、こういう人たくさんいます。そういう人たちが作ってくれるわけですね。
This is how most ideas start. Two medical students having beer. I mean it. And they start drinking and talking. And drinking and talking. And one says, I have a good idea for heart disease. And they take a napkin and draw it. Some of the greatest medical inventions were drawn on a napkin at a bar by a medical student.
大体その発明といいますか、こういうアイデアというのは、2人の医学生がビールを飲みながらいろいろアイデアを交わしながら出てきました。で、世界中の優れた発明というのは、こういうナプキン上で書いたものから生まれるということが結構あります。
Here's the sad truth. If it's a good idea, someone will try to steal it. If I could steal Facebook, I would steal Facebook. You cannot trust anyone if it's a good idea. Even on a napkin, a new idea, you know what I do? Because my lawyers tell me to? I sign my name to the napkin, I put the date, and I have my drunk friend sign it too. For any invention you can think of, the single most important thing is the date. Right? This is a device for the slideshow. If I say I invented it today, that's not true. There's a paper signed 15 years ago from the inventor. Being first is what matters.
こういうふうにナプキンでも何でもいいんですが、これ結構危険なことは、こういったものは盗まれるということです。皆さん良いアイデアがあったら気をつけてください。で、彼も弁護士に言われてるんですが、必ずこういうアイデアが紙面になった時にはそれをサインをして必ず日付を書いて、そしてそれが他に目撃者がいるんだったらそのビールを飲んでるその仲間に同じくサインをしてもらうと、そういうことをしてこれを保護するわけです。
And the fun thing about being a medical student with an idea, it starts on a napkin like that. These are just some of the devices I invented that are used around the world. And I'm not that smart a guy. Operating room, urology clinic, right? GI clinics. I knew nothing when I was your age about this. But you know medicine. People with money don't know medicine. Engineers don't know medicine. You know medicine. You do it every day already. I have a bunch of devices out there that help people. I feel pretty good about that. And I am no smarter than anyone in this room. Probably dumber than several people in this room.
これは彼自身が発明した会社で起こして作ったいくつかの器具の例ですけれども、本当にずば抜けて頭いいからこういうものができたというわけじゃありません。アイデアがあってそれを実現したということですね。これは医療現場で今使われております。
So only a few more slides because I know it's late and it's hot and it's Friday. Here's the reality. To take your idea all the way to my operating room costs money. Not a little money. My idea is $60 million. 60 million US from my idea to the operating room. 45 million. 200 million. How many of you have 60 million I could borrow? When I was a med student, I didn't have $60. I don't have 60 million. That means it must be someone else's money, right? Why would someone give me $60 million? Over 10 years, I got $125 million, not because I'm very good looking. Why? Why do people give you money? To make money. Investment, right?
その皆さんのアイデアを実際に体の手術するとすごくお金がかかるんですね。60億とか40億とか200億とか大きな数字になります。でただ皆さん60億ないんですよね、今現時点で。そうするとやっぱその投資資金を集めなきゃ資金を集めなければなりません。
There are many sources of money. We won't talk about them today. Trust me when I tell you, there are hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars out there looking for your idea. There is a balance. If you want me to give you $30 million, you don't get to run the company. How many companies have you run? 0. You're a very nice girl. You have a very good idea for a disease. I am not giving you $30 million to run a company. The balance is needing their money and giving up some power. Young people like you, I hire in the company to help. I teach you how you can run a company someday, but you're not getting all my money and running a company. Now, some students at Stanford say, it's my idea. You know what I say? It's my money. You have to accept that.
皆さんにはアイデアがあって、ただお金がないですね。例えば彼が30億出すと言ったときに、ポンと経験のない人に30億は与えません。ですから、そのアイデアを持っている皆さんは、少しコントロールを逆に戻さなきゃいけないんですね。それは多分経営のコントロールということになる。
And when they meet you and hear your idea, they have to figure out how much money they can make off it, right? They talk about market, competition, and intellectual property. You can certainly. Okay. I'm going to go straight to this one for time's sake. Right now, if you even think you'll have an idea, I just want to tell you a couple of quick things. The value, the money that can be made, the people who can be helped from your idea depends on your ability to protect it, meaning other people don't steal the idea, right? If it's not yours, there's nothing for it.
最後になりますが、重要なポイントとして、皆さんのそのアイデアの価値というのは、それをあなたがどのようにしてそれを守ることができるかということと直結しています。
This is true in Japan, the United States, Europe, everywhere, under the name intellectual property. Something you invented, you own, and you can prove that.
皆さんの分野として IP、所有権というのがあります。それは皆さんが所有をして、それが皆さんのものであることをやっぱり証明できるということが重要です。
The most common form is called a patent. I have patents in the United States, Japan, the Middle East, Europe, and China, even though it's a waste of time in China, because they ignore patents.
あとはパテントがありますね。彼自身も米国、日本、中国とか中東でパテントを持っています。ただ中国であまりパテントって聞かないんですけど。
And it's the legal way to tell everyone in the world that the only person who can make money off my idea in the world is me. It's illegal for someone else to make my idea and sell it in a country where I have a patent. Does that make sense?
パテントはその国において自分自身の所有をするものですので、そのアイデアを使ってお金を得られるのは自分自身というかパテントオーナーだけっていうことになります。
You can look at patents online. This is a list of some of my patents. My friends have a lot of patents. These are the US patents. But it takes a little while. You work with people who are experts. You get a patent. The patents have numbers and dates. This means that that is the first time in the US that anyone has said, make this device. No one else can make it without my permission. No one gets my permission without paying us. That's true in Japan too. Same for my Japanese patents.
これはドクター・ピーターのパテントのリストですけども、ちゃんと先ほど言った日付とか名前とかちゃんと入っています。
Patents equal money. So let's say that this young man has $100 million. Congratulations, you're very rich. All the girls should go and meet him right now. I might meet him. And I want to have him give me money for my great idea. I have a pill that cures cancer in a week with no danger. Good idea, huh? If I don't have a patent and I tell him, he seems not like an honest guy. He's not. What will he do if I don't have a patent and I just showed him how to make a pill to cure cancer?
He will create the
Thank you.
and take it away from
Happens all the time. People with money, companies with money, take your idea. There's no protection before you ever talk to someone. People like me, attorneys, will help you file for a patent. Filing is $100 US, just $100 US. The money has to go in a year later, and then it's a lot of money. But if he says, you do, you have that? Great. And then I say, yes, I have filed for a patent. Now he doesn't take it, he says, I need to give you a lot of money. Don't be naive. You're so young. You think everyone's nice. Good ideas people take. It's your idea. Sorry.
特許ですけども、登録するのにちょっと英語ですけど100ドルしかかからないし、手続きが意外と簡単です。本当に最初の皆さん若いとナイーブなんですが、本当に割合アイデアを盗もうとする悪い人がかなり周りにいるので、ここは気をつけてます。
There's the last one. So the last thing that if I have money and you come to me, I'm going to ask about, the English term is called sweat equity. You know what I mean, equity ownership. What does that mean? You come to me because you want $20 million because you have a great product for children with ear infection. I say, do you believe in this? Yes. Have you spent any of your own money? No. Have you spent a lot of time designing it at night after work? No. Have you done anything except think of the idea? No. Not interested. If you believe in something, you work hard on it. You think about it. You talk about it. You get a patent file. Some of my projects I spent thousands of dollars. That tells the investor, I really believe in this. Why would I give you money if you don't even believe in it enough to work one night on it, right?
特に投資家を説得するときに重要なのが、スウェットエクティと言われていることですね。これは日本語にとにかく自分のその時間なり労力なりお金なりがそこに投入されているということを投資家に見せなければならない。
Finally and last, believe in yourself. Right? Believe in yourself. Do you know that the author of Harry Potter had to go through hundreds of publishers who said, this is stupid, before someone said, all right. Right? Before anyone ever wrote me my first check for millions for my company, I went through 100 who said, stupid idea, won't work, you're ugly. if you believe in it, be confident and keep going. And I tell you that if you do, ultimately you'll be successful and your product will help people all over the world, which is a wonderful feeling.
最後に本当に自信を持ってください。ハリー・ポッターの例がありますけど、ハリー・ポッターはあんだけ有名ですが、最初に100ぐらいの出版社に行ったけど全部断られたそうです。ですから自信を持って、言ってください。
I know we've stayed late. I thank you. If you have questions, I'll take them. If you want to run off and see your girlfriend or have a drink, I agree. So do I. If you want to get a business card, if you have questions, anyone here should feel free emailing me. It'd be a privilege. So thank you. Good luck, young doctors.
本当に金曜日の遅い時間までありがとうございました。本当にね、この後多分ガールフレンドになったりね、ビール飲んだりしたいと思うので、本当にありがとうございました。でもしご質問とかあったら、ですね、名刺をお渡ししますので、必ず回答はしますから、今日の話で何か気になるところとかあったら、聞いてみてください。ありがとうございました。
Thank you.